Little Hands, Big Attitude. Book 2 Little Steps, Big Changes, Chapter 13, At the Dinner Table.
What had I done? Each of the others took their turns in the shower, and I can only guess that they were trying to scrub away what had been seen and heard that day. Tom ordered pizza, which Kaya stayed just long enough for before returning to the lake. And they all put on their comfiest pajamas and fluffy socks before all settling in the living room. The lights were off in the room, but the light from the kitchen as Maddie finished loading the dishwasher cast its way into the space. I sat on the floor, not playing or babbling like I usually did. Saki close to my chest, looking at the floor in silence. I was still exhausted from the ordeal, but my mind was too much of a muddle to really focus on much. Tails fiddled with one of his wrenches, winding and narrowing the jaw in and out absent-mindedly. Sonic picked at random pieces of fuzz stuck to his socks. Knuckles had a piece of paper in his hands and had been scribbling on it for a little while, though what exactly, I wasn't sure. Maddie finally came into the living room and settled down on the couch, leaning against Tom with a sigh. For several moments, all that could be heard was the ticking of the clock on the wall. I barely remembered what had happened. It had been all in a state of panic, but I'd heard voices. The voices of foes of my past. The voices of other victims of such horrors. I felt the cold of the lab, the pain of the experimental probes stabbing into my body over and over. I even heard my old voice muttering things, like someone else had taken the reins. Part of me was glad I didn't remember, and part of me was worried that I didn't know how much of my past I'd uncovered, or if I'd hurt anyone. All that I could remember was seeing Sonic go down onto the floor, his strength draining away, low, and all I could see was that horrible day where I'd been the one responsible for his fall. When I killed him, I didn't know when exactly the first tear fell from my face, but more followed, and more, and more. Soon I was lying on the rug in our living room, wailing and unable to stop myself. Sonic had me in his arms quickly, holding me close and trying to use the same calming motion on my back, but it didn't work this time. I wasn't too deep. I was too trapped in my own guilt and shame over what I'd done before, and what I'd just done, that I was sinking deeper into a pit I couldn't escape. Lo, then I was in someone else's arms, but I didn't know who it was until they spoke. It was Knuckles.
Listen to my words, Obsidian. Listen to me.
I tried to focus on his face through blurry, teary eyes. I tried to listen, even though I felt like I was being crushed.
You are not the one responsible.
I blinked away tears, raising my hands to wipe them away while still trying to look the echidna in the eye.
You are not the one whom lies the blame. What we saw today was not your fault.
Knuckles, he doesn't understand that sort of stuff yet.
No, he does.
Knuckles had informed firmly, holding me up to his face and then pulling me in close again.
You are upset because you believe you have hurt us. That what we saw will affect how we look at you from now on. That we will fear you. But it is not true.
He placed his hand on the back of my head, pretty well swallowing it in the material.
We do not think you are any less precious and important to us.
That's right. No matter what, we're your family, in the good and the bad.
The tears still spilled, but I dug my fingers into Knuckles' fur, kneading it with my fingers as I sniffled.
Besides, what the Flames of Time person did or said wasn't new, right? You're not him.
My eyes opened again, looking at his smiling face. He was right. I'd been able to look past whatever the other Sonic had done to care about this one. Why can't I give myself the same second chance? A new life? Why couldn't I see myself as Obsidian and not as Mephiles or even Solaris? My attention was caught as Tom's phone buzzed, and he picked it up. His face quickly shifted to horror, his eyes bugging out of his head.
Oh no.
What? Is it Gun again?
Tom shook his head, handing his phone off to Maddie.
I totally forgot that they were in the truck.
Maddie looked just as shocked. but she smiled a bit as she looked at the screen.
Oh dear, Thomas Wachowski.
I was freaking out, okay. You guys were trapped and, oh man, she's gonna kill me.
Maddie handed off the phone to Sonic, who looked at the screen and then showed it to the rest of us. On the screen was a photo of Silver and Blaze, sitting on a couch with a series of texts underneath. I wished I could read and know exactly what was said, but the smiley face at the end told me that it was somewhat lighthearted.
They were with you.
When Allison called to tell me you guys weren't answering the phone, I found them sitting in the truck wanting to come and see if they could help out. They were hiding in the truck when I got here, and they must have snuck back out and gone home after Gunn left.
Tom scrubbed his face with his hands.
Silver and Blaze wanted to help us? That's so nice of them.
Yeah, maybe Silver isn't so much of a buzzkill after.
The blue hedgehog was muffled by a couch pillow being thrown at his head.
Mind your manners.
I smiled a bit. The first time all day. These were my people. These were my brothers. And my mother and father. And Sonic was right. No matter what happened in the past, or what happened in the future, I needed to remind myself that I was not Mephiles anymore. Or Solaris. I was Obsidian. Obsidian Wachowski.
The Wachowski family needed something to bring some life and smiles back into the house. And so a few days later, after making sure a gun was gone from town, Maddie made the offer to Allison to come over after work for dinner and bring the two newcomers with her. Silver was almost fully recovered from his illness, and so they agreed on Friday night when the other boys didn't have school the next day. It was a much kinder response than the last time Tails answered the front door.
Hi, Blaze. Hi, Silver.
Good evening, Tails. I hope we're not too late.
No, Mom says that the rest is almost finished. Come on in.
Thank you, Tails. A little chilly outside tonight.
All too true.
Blaze carefully removed her coat, handing it to Allison to hang it up.
Hey, I love your new boots, Silver.
Tails responded, pointing to the pair of black snow boots on the hedgehog's feet.
They're actually a spare pair of Miss Allison's, but thank you, Tails. We were waiting to take me to the market and purchase some clothes for me until I had recovered. But then there was that whole incident with those men, and Miss Allison believed it was best to wait a little longer.
We will soon, but they're not too small or anything?
No, ma'am, they're just fine.
Hey guys, welcome to our home.
Maddie came out of the kitchen and gave the other woman a one-armed hug.
Glad to be here, Maddie.
Miss Maddie, is Kaya going to be here too?
We offered, but Kai is still trying to get herself sorted out. But I'm sure you'll get to see her again soon.
Maddie bent down and tapped Blaze's nose gently.
You girls have to stick together, am I right?
Mom, could we take Silver and Blaze and show them our room until dinner's done?
I don't have a problem with it, but you should ask Sonic and Knuckles too. It's their room too, you know.
It's fine with me. I've got a whole list of things I want to show you.
Silver yelped as Sonic took his hand and started to tug him along.
Okay, I'm coming, no need to pull.
Sonic zipped up the steps and then turned back to Silver, had to stop again, looking at something in the living room.
Come on, it's up here.
Coming!
Silver murmured again, moving up the steps much slower than Sonic.
So this is my part of the room. Most of the stuff up here is mine actually. Part of being the first one here. Tails has his little spot over in that corner and Knuckles has that side over there. He mostly just has his little mat and sleeping bag plus the toolbox where we keep our stuff. But he says he doesn't need a lot of stuff.
Silver tried to follow the blue hedgehog around the room with his eyes, before closing them and rubbing his temples.
Are you always this fast and chatty? Or is it just when you're excited?
Am I going too fast for you? I just haven't had new friends in a little while. Not like me, at least. Okay, so now that you're all recovered up, super cool powers demonstration. I've got my speed.
The blue hedgehog began booking it around the room, back and forth in a blue flash of color. Silver covered his eyes with an arm to block the dust being kicked up by his fellow teenager. And then Sonic was suddenly back on the bed.
Wow.
Fastest thing alive. Now it's your turn. Come on, hit me.
Oh, no. Bad idea. I don't want to hit you. Sonic, I might hurt you.
No. It's just an expression. It means show me what you've got.
Oh, well, I still don't know.
What's wrong?
Well, this room's a little cramped.
Oh, do you want more space to demonstrate? We can always whoa.
Sonic struggled to keep his balance as the Fed suddenly lifted up and off the floor, surrounded by a light cyan aura, just like Silver's hands and flickering from the edges of his eyes.
Whoa, that's awesome. How much can you lift?
I can lift a lot more than just you and a bed. I also have some telepathy too. But so far, the best I can do is give people bad headaches.
He placed the bed back down and then turned towards the steps to the downstairs.
It's still nice to know that Blaze has my back.
It's pretty amazing what people without powers can do when they put their minds to things.
Is that what she told you? No powers?
Wait, so she does have powers. Why would she say she didn't?
It's probably because she doesn't like her powers. She only uses them if she has to. And even then, you can tell she's not happy about it.
Why wouldn't she like her powers?
It's not my place to tell you. If she ever wants you to know, she will tell you or show you.
That's what she said about you. You guys sure do like keeping each other's secrets.
It's called respect for one's privacy, Sonic. So, what does your father do?
He's the town's sheriff. It's his job to make sure that everyone follows the rules and to help people in need.
Tails announced as he flew up into the attic, having overheard the question.
All on his own?
Well, no, there's way too. But Green Hills is usually a pretty quiet, peaceful town.
When Robotnik isn't here, I really hope we never see that guy again.
This Robotnik person was a nuisance to the town?
That's putting it lightly. He showed up to try and capture me, and then to kill me.
Why?
Because he's a terrible person who wanted to take over the world and I was in his way. Or he wanted to use me as a weapon against other people.
I see. What happened to him?
I stopped his giant robot from destroying the town, and when it crashed, he disappeared. A lot of people think he died in the crash. But we thought he was gone for good before, and we were wrong.
What will you do if he returns?
The last time he showed up, we were extremely unprepared. He almost completely destroyed our house. And what about you? You and Blaze grew up together.
Yeah, she and I have known each other for as long as we can remember. We faced a lot together.
So, I guess you and Blaze didn't really have anyone either.
No, there was a badger that tended to us when we were really little, but then one day he just disappeared. Same with everyone else we met. It was just the two of us, trying to survive in a world that was on the verge of complete destruction.
What happened?
A disaster. I'm going to go see how Blaze is doing.
They watched the other hedgehog wander into the rest of the house, and Sonic frowned.
A disaster? What kind of disaster?
But we'd better not push it. Let him talk about it when he's ready. Speaking of ready, the food's done.
The pair hurried back down the stairs to the main level, and found Blaze helping Knuckles set the table, and Silver was on the floor with Obsidian. The light-furred hedgehog sat cross-legged, his hands resting on his lap, and his head tilted to one side. Obsidian had tilted his head in the same direction, and when Silver shifted it the other way, the toddler mimicked him.
I didn't really see him at the clinic.
Having fun there, boys?
I guess so, Miss Allison.
All right, let's get to eating. That meat's not gonna serve itself.
It was decided that the kids would sit at the table, while the adults gone to sit and talk in the living room. Sonic and Tails sat on one side, Silver and Knuckles on the other, and Blaze on one end with Obsidian in the living room with the adults. Silver and Blaze both picked up the utensils, holding them curiously before attempting to use them. Blaze was far better at it, and Silver winced as the fork broke through the small potatoes on the side, clanking loudly against the glass plate.
Sorry.
Don't worry about it, Silver. Knuckles had the same trouble getting used to using utensils too, at first.
It is true. My tribe would use knives to cut and slice up our food. But beyond preparation, it was all eaten with our hands. It was also difficult to adjust to how fragile the human utensils are. I bent quite a few with my strength when I first arrived.
You must be quite strong then, Knuckles. Did all your tribe possess such strength?
It was a gift granted to me alone. Father said it was a sign from the gods that I was destined for great things.
Do you and Silver have your own rooms at Allison's house?
No, we currently are still sleeping in the front living space. But Miss Allison stated that it's only because she has not been able to get us real beds yet. There are spare rooms, but honestly, I'm not certain I want to have my own space without her.
Really?
The two of us have always slept together side by side. It was a way to ensure that we did not get separated. if we do wind up with our own sleeping quarters, I had a feeling it will take some time to get used to.
Have you talked to Allison about it?
Indeed, she suggested that for now we have the save room, but each have one site designated to us that we will be responsible for keeping in order.
Seems reasonable enough. A similar way to our own room. Though I must say that Sonic's portion is not usually as clean as it is today.
Everything has its place, Nux.
And that place is oftentimes a pile in front of the steps, where Mother could easily trip and injure herself.
Sonic started to stand up from his chair.
You want to go Echidna?
Whoa, cool down, guys. No need to get antagonistic over something so minor.
That's right. Settle down.
The possibility of a fight eased out, and Sonic returned through his seat, though still frowning.
I'm glad you're feeling better, Silver.
Me too. That sickness was awful. And Miss Allison said that it might have been caused by simply being too cold in the elements. Although I can't say that I'm fully used to such cold. It was never cold where we were.
You resided in the tropics.
I believe so. It's hard to say exactly because we lost most of the maps and information on our region in the disaster.
Yeah, Silver mentioned that earlier. What kind of disaster?
You tell them. You know the history better.
Blaze was quiet for a moment, as if pulling herself together. Then she began her tale,